Hello everyone and welcome back to Nathra and Deer's Guide to Everything, and it's been a while since I uploaded. Apologies about that. Normal life, real life has just been getting in the way of it quite a lot. Quick update, Fizban's Treasury of Dragons came out, Strixhaven Curriculum of Chaos came out. I also got Descent into Avernus for my birthday just here, which is no longer in print anymore as far as I'm aware, and I'm currently prepping for a Curse of Strahd campaign, which I'm very, very excited for. Haven't played it before. I'm going to be DMing in that, so very exciting. That's a very quick catch up on what's been happening. I've been pining over what video to come back with, and I watched the series Arcane the other day, and I mean, that's cemented. It's an easy choice, really. So we're going to be doing a character from Arcane today, and you probably guessed by the thumbnail, it's going to be Vi, and I'm really excited about this. So welcome back to the Legend Forge. Without further ado, let's get into it, shall we?
Nobody wins in war, Vi. I'll figure it out.
Hope you enjoyed that little montage. Arcane, I thought, was a 10 out of 10 show. Absolutely incredible. And moving forwards with the Legend Forge series, I think looking back at my videos now, I've had a month and a half, 2 months to kind of contemplate on where I want to take the channel. I think I was overdoing it with the homebrew, with those particular characters, and making them kind of unattainable to make, really. So I'm going to try and keep it more grounded in what D&D is. So I've just made a couple of items today to just enhance Vi's, I guess, techniques and how she performs in the show, etc. But it's good to be back. Let's jump straight into it, shall we? So here you can see we have Vi from Arcane in the bottom right here, and just to preface this really quickly, this video, because I don't want to annoy anybody, there will be spoilers for the show in this video, so if you haven't seen it yet, definitely go and watch it. For one, what are you doing? But if you're okay with spoilers, then feel free to continue. I'll try to limit it as much as I possibly can, but it's kind of unavoidable with one of the things that we'll be doing here. So yes, this is your warning. 3, 2, you've had long enough. Let's jump into and take a look at Vi from Arcane and how I've built it today. It seems weird at the moment, D&D Beyond, it's not working. The character portraits aren't working. As soon as you go into the character sheet, it's a little bit weird. But regardless, so for our race, we've gone for a variant human. As with a lot of these characters are, it gives us access to a feat and a couple of ability score improvements. Very versatile class here. I've gone for Undercommon, which I would kind of label as maybe like a Thieves' Can or Zornite, where she's from in the Undercity, which is quite fun. Ability score increase, we've gone with Strength and Constitution because she is a boxer. And I did actually struggle with ability scores for Vi because she's kind of a bit of an all-rounder, but she's definitely strong. As you can see, she punches through walls and God knows what else. For proficiency, we've gone with athletics for all the kind of the parkour that they do in the show, the anime parkour. But again, I'd say that's kind of dexterous, but regardless, it is what it is. We do what we can. And for our feat, we've gone with Charger. And this actually covers one of her moves in the game, League of Legends, as well, which I believe is not Relentless Force. I think it's called Vault Breaker in the game. I've never played League of Legends, just to put that out there. But Charger kind of covers that ability, which is really, really fun. When you use your action to dash, you can use a bonus action to make one melee weapon attack or to shove a creature. If you move at least 10 feet in a straight line immediately before taking this bonus action, you can either gain a +5 bonus to the attack's damage roll if you choose to make a melee attack and hit, or push the target up to 10 feet away if you choose to shove and you succeed. So it's just really, really great. If you want to move people around the battlefield or do a bit of extra damage, this is a fantastic way to do it. And yeah, I mean, it's damage within a feat that does something else. It's great. Next up, we have the class. So I've set her at level 15. I thought this was quite about right for where she is at the end of the show. But let me talk you through what we've done here. So we've gone for 12 levels in Battlemaster Fighter and 3 in Armourer Artificer. I'll get to that in a second. So hit points, we get 1d10. We need that. She's very... she always seems to get back up in the show, and I would like label that as like a second wind, things like that. That's really quite good, and I think represents Vi perfectly. For proficiencies, we've gone with Survival and Intimidation. I think both of those, again, if you've seen the show, you know what she's like. She's in prison for a few years, and she survived on the streets as a young lass. And Intimidation as well, because that's kind of who she is as well. She uses her, I guess, her know-how and street smarts to intimidate her opponents without a doubt, and just her fighting style. We've gone for 2-weapon fighting in fighting style. Again, by the end of the show, she has 2 gauntlets, but to earlier part of the season, she does actually wield Vanda's iron gauntlets as well, which are really, really cool. And I thought 2-weapon fighting means if you're playing out like a boxing character, you can do a right and a left using your bonus action to hit as well. Second wind, I've already explained why we've got that. She always seems to get back up, it's great. Action surge, I mean, it's just fantastic. It's more attacks for us, and there's a few times in the show where she gets really mad, goes into a bit of a rage almost, and then just begins wailing on her opponent. For our martial archetype, we've gone with Battle Master, just because she is quite tactical on the battlefield, really, really smart, and that comes all from Vanda, from her training, I believe. Combat superiority just means we get maneuvers, and for those maneuvers, I'll show you in a second. We've gone for leatherworkers tools, nothing really fitted appropriately here, but she does kind of wrap her hands in like boxer hand wraps, so I figured you could maybe pull that into there. For our maneuvers, because we're such a high level, we do get 7 different kinds. If you'd like more detail on these, please feel free to just search them. I won't fully read all of these. We start with Brace. Brace essentially allows you to prepare for an incoming enemy, and when they do come in towards you, you can make an attack as a reaction. Feinting attack allows us to use a bonus action to feint an attack so that we can get advantage when we actually decide to go for a hit against them. As a free action, we can use evasive footwork to add some points to our AC if we're trying to move away from a creature. Usually I imagine how that would be used. Because again, she is quite dexterous in the show as well. All the characters are, as with most animation shows. We have precision attack as well, which essentially means we can just give ourselves an assurance to hit with precision attack, so we roll a superiority die and we get that on top of our to hit bonus, as well as the damage like every other maneuver on here. Trip attack is what it sounds like when we make a weapon attack. We can spend a superiority die and try and trip a creature over as long as they're large or smaller. Parry, when another creature damages you with a melee attack, you can use a reaction to expend 1 superiority die to reduce the damage that you take, plus your dexterity modifier, so quite important there for that one as well. And finally, a pushing attack, which kind of fits in with Charger as well, same as that Vault Breaker ability she has in the game. When you hit a creature with a weapon attack, you expend a superiority die to attempt to drive the target back. Add it to the attack's damage roll, and if it's large or smaller, it can be pushed away from you if it fails to save. Lovely, so that just gives us loads of options on the battlefield when we're there, and she is, this kind of ability puts it into perspective perfectly actually, martial versatility. She is quite versatile, but she has a focused fighting style with her boxing and kickboxing, I would probably say. For our first ability score improvement, we've gone for a double into strength. For our 5th level, we get an extra attack obviously, and another, because we're a fighter, ability score improvement, double into constitution. And then we get Know Your Enemy at 7th level. We can observe our enemy and see what they're good at, basically. Very good in a lot of situations. Vi doesn't really use this. It's just part of what we are limited by what we can choose. Ability score improvement, one for intelligence and constitution. And intelligence, not so much in the fact that she would be book smart, but she's definitely street smart without a doubt. Now, Indomitable, again, she just doesn't seem to stay down. The great thing about Vi, she always gets back up again, whether it's a speech from a friend or whatever it might be, or from Vanda, she always gets back up. So Indomitable, you fail a saving throw, you can try and re-roll it instead. Really good. 10th level, our superiority die turns into D10, so we're just better at everything. Extra attack at level 11, and at level 12 we get another ability score improvement, and we went for dexterity to help with our armor class a little bit, because I did notice it was lacking. So we chose Artificer because of her ability to wield the Hextech gauntlets that she gets later on in the show, and again I told you there would be spoilers, but also Vanda's iron gauntlets towards the start of the season as well. And we're choosing Artificer, one, because of the kind of the technology elements of the show, the arcane, this Hextech stuff. Spellcasting will be very limited from her, of course. As I will get to any second, there is a very specific reason why we've done this. Our infusions, we've just gone for all self buffs, basically, should you need them. They're all there: armor, magical strength, enhanced defense, enhanced weapon, enhanced arcane focus, should you need all of those things. If you're actually playing a character like this, I would recommend helping your party out, not just yourself. That's what Artificers are really good for. Make sure you buff everybody. But Artificer Specialist, this is the reason we're here. We've gone for Armor. Now, what Armor allows us to do? One, it gives us access to a cool couple of spells, which is really good. Magic Missile, Thunderwave. You could argue you can shoot those from the Hextech Gauntlets. But more importantly is the feature Arcane Armor and the armor model specifically that we're choosing. So Arcane Armor is a fantastic ability. I've always wanted to play this, something else has always drawn me away from it first, but I will one day become Iron Man with this thing. Basically we can make our own armor, we remove the strength requirements, it doesn't matter what it is. We can use Arcane Armor as a spellcasting focus for your artificer spells. The armor attaches to you, you can doff or don the armor as an action. What this does, it allows us to pick the Guardian design, which gives us access to the Thunder Gauntlets. Each of the armor's gauntlets counts as a simple melee weapon while you aren't holding anything in it, and deals 1d8 thunder damage on a hit. A creature hit by the gauntlet has disadvantage on the attack rolls against targets other than you until the start of your next turn, as the armor magically emits a distracting pulse when the creature attacks someone else. We also have access to Defensive Field. As a bonus action, you can gain temporary hit points equal to your level in this class, replacing any temporary hit points you already have. You lose these if you doff the armor. You can use bonus a number of times equal to your efficiency bonus, and regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. So, basically, this is the character done. Whichever way you look at it, you could say these Thunder Gauntlets are Vanda's gauntlets from the start, or you could say these are the full-on Hextech gauntlets, and that's what they're flavoured as. That's what your Arcane Armor is. The Defensive Field, in one of the climactic fights, she does brace for an attack, and like a bubble shield comes around her. We're going to be leaning into that a little bit more as well with our spell choices, like shield and things like that. So there's multiple ways to get to it, but that is basically the character done. I've homebrewed a couple of things just in case you want to add on to that and add more flavour if your Dungeon Master would allow it. But this, what I've shown you here, is a great way to obtain that vibe of basically giant thunder armoured fists. It's perfect. I absolutely love it. I can't believe it fits so well. But that does take us all the way to level 15. Our starting scores, we went for a standard array because she isn't really anything special at the start. She's not like super heroic. She needs these modifications to make her better, and I guess her time in prison made her resolute and strong. But our starting stats are 15 in strength, 12 in dex, 14 in con, 13 intelligence, 8 wisdom, and 10 charisma. I do think she has a quote in the game which is like, punch things and ask questions while punching or something like that. She's not wise. I don't think wisdom is anything to do with Vi at all, to be honest, but intelligence definitely. Like I said, the street smarts from before. But we end up with 20 strength, 14 dex, 18 constitution, 14 intelligence, 8 wisdom, and 10 charisma. She does have a little bit of charisma, I think. She can be a bit cheeky when talking to Caitlin and things like that. And she is quite intimidating, I would argue, especially if she's wielding these gauntlets that are as big as her. Description-wise, we went for urchin as a background, and while she didn't quite grow up completely alone, perhaps in a very much earlier life, she did have Vanda to kind of provide for her as well, but that would give her efficiency with sleight of hand, stealth, a disguise kit, not so much, and I put little brewer's supplies as well from working in the Last Drop, which is probably one of the best names for a tavern I think I've ever heard. I'm definitely going to stick that in one of my campaigns. I love it. But being an urchin gives us, we know, secret patterns and floater cities and confined passages through the urban sprawl that others would miss. And they literally do this in the show, in the Undercity, in the city of Zorn. So that is perfect. And the stealth, obviously, the first episode, don't mind spoiling this, not too crazy. The first thing that happens is they stealth into a building and try to steal things. So yeah, perfect. Equipment I chose for basically nothing. I just what was on her back, and you saw a couple of spoilers there maybe. Let's jump into the character sheet and we'll see what I've done with some homebrew. So like I said, the portraits aren't working, but you can see my beautiful animated portrait here, which reminded me very much of Hextech. And in case you wondered what that is, that frame is where is it? Good grief. It's somewhere down here. There it is. It's a subscriber frame from D&D Beyond. It's the animated Radiant Corona. I thought it looked like Hextech beautifully. So our stats are fantastic. Plus 10 to athletics, absolutely incredible. 7 sleight of hand, 7 stealth, 4 survival, and 5 intimidation. I think that suits perfectly. We have advantage on strength and constitution saving throws. Again, Vi down to a T. Our armor class I wish was better, but how she's dressed, she's literally just in normal clothes, like a leather jacket and stuff. I couldn't really give her any more than studded leather, so I chose not to. We'll just have to deal with it. For example, let me just remove these items that I've created, which is only 2. Just like this, as I said, this is perfect. This is done. this is a perfect roleplay of Vi from Arcane, I think. Guardian Armor Thunder Gauntlets, you can scale with your strength or your intelligence. So if you wanted to go a bit more tinkery, you could go more down the intelligence route. I've gone for the pure kind of physical route in this case. But that is done. That is the character. Thunder Gauntlets, they fit. That's all you need. But if you want that little bit more, I have homebrewed some stuff, and feel free if you want to search for these on Homebrew. They will be published at the time this video goes live. They will be published, so let's equip both of these just so I can show you them at the same time. And we'll start with the uncommon one, which is Vanda's Iron Gauntlets. We have ridiculous to hit, but then we are level 15, so I would expect this by now, to be honest. This is a magical gauntlets. We get a +1 bonus to attack and damage rolls made with this magic weapon. Melee attacks with these gauntlets are considered for weapon attacks because what you'll find is that sometimes like gauntlets and things make things unarmed strikes. These are not that. These are definitely extra weapons to imbue your attacks with a bit more power, and it has to have that, otherwise it doesn't work with some of our Battlemaster maneuvers, and that would have been pointless. So, Counterpunch. As a reaction, if a creature misses a melee attack against you, you can immediately make a melee attack of your own if they are in range. Really powerful, really powerful. Basically a maneuver on its own, the brace one, I think it is. But incredible, but these do require attunement. They're not anything fancy outside of that ability, so very much early game. You could absolutely use these all the way up to like maybe even like level 10, something like that. They'd be really good. And we've got a nice little quote in there. I love doing these for the show because honestly that show is 10 out of 10. I can't recommend it enough. When people look up to you, you don't get to be selfish. Vanda. It's a good little line there. And the exciting stuff, and I really tried not to overdo it. As you can see, there's a lot of text there, but they're pretty awesome items. I hope I captured the essence of them perfectly here. So it is considered a flail, but that's the only way I could get the right damage numbers and things that I wanted. But let's just get into it. These gauntlets are an example of something called Hextech, a fusion of magic and technology that harnesses the power of both. Hextech levels the playing field so regular humans can challenge mages, monsters, or whatever might emerge from other realms. And I think that's official quote from the game discussing Hextech, I think. I couldn't just find a better summary of them. I thought that was perfect. But Hextech gauntlets. Melee attacks made with these gauntlets are considered weapon attacks, and you're still considered to have both hands free while they are equipped, unlike Vanda's gauntlets. They don't have hands, whereas these are still actually hands. Really good. Which means you can interact with your environment still. They do require attunement, but they have a couple of rules. You have to have a strength of at least 16 to even start wielding these things. After all, they were made for burly miners. They're also originally called the Atlas Gauntlets, but I think Hextech sounds nicer, so why not? +2 magic weapon. Strength score increases by 2 when you equip it, so that's very good. Blast Shield, again going with our shield ability from before, the defensive field. This is an improved version of that. Once the reaction, you can cast Shield from the gauntlets. This feature can be used again when you finish a short or long rest. We also have Relentless Force as our next ability. As part of your attack action before rolling the hit, you can overcharge the gauntlets, as you can see a lot in the show, especially again during the climactic fights. You can see the little needle on the gauntlets goes all the way up to the red, to the maximum, to 11. But before rolling to hit, you can overcharge the gauntlets. On a successful hit, your target takes the usual damage dealt. Then in addition, each creature in a 15-foot cone in front of you takes 2d8 thunder damage. This property can't be used again until the next dawn. So limited to 1 time a day, because that in theory could be very good against a group of smaller enemies or a single target. But Relentless Force comes straight from League of Legends of the game. That's one of her abilities, and that's as close as I could get to the actual original description of that. These gauntlets also have the counterpunch technique as detailed before. So if a creature misses you, whether due to shield or just normally, you can give them a whack by using your reaction. Very good, and I think it leans into the boxer element of Vi perfectly. They are also built for mining, so you have the siege property, which is you deal double damage to objects and structures. And a bonus here is that if you are an armor artificer, because you don't need to be to wield these, you can just be a fighter. This is open to you, and this is again another reason why I made these, is so that someone that didn't want to do levels in artificer and multiclass can still live out the power fantasy of playing Vi. So a creature that is an armor artificer has chosen the Guardian Arcane Armor model also gains the following benefit. Emergent Fusion. These gauntlets are considered a part of your Arcane Armor and Thunder Gauntlets, adopting all the properties of those features. So that means they can't be removed from you, they are your arcane focus, etc, etc. When you make a melee attack, on a hit you deal damage from both the Hextech Gauntlets and the Thunder Gauntlets. So if you do decide to invest in Armor Artificer, these things are just an extension further of what you are. So when you roll to hit with these things, you can roll from the Hextech gauntlets, but when you're rolling for damage, you can do 1d8 plus 7, which would be 10 in this case, plus the attack from Thunder Gauntlets as well. It's a double whammy straight in there. So if you really do want to invest, you can go all in and go exactly how she is from the show and how badass she is there. I will errata this, some of the text, just to say it doesn't add your modifier of your Thunder Gauntlets. You can only have one modifier on those. And I guess to round this out, a nice little quote at the bottom. Well, your guard needs work. I wish I could say it gets easier, kiddo, but I'd be lying. What I can say is, she still needs you. They all do. So what do you say? That's Vander speaking. I won't spoil any more of the show. It's a fantastic moment in it when he gets to say that. But this has been The Legend Forge. This has been Vi from Arcane. I hope this was useful. You can live out the power fantasy of playing something from this like revolutionary show. It came out of nowhere, let's be honest. This was really fun. It's really nice to be back. This has been The Legend Forge, where we take characters from pop culture and turn them into D&D. We mold them into what we can. And I hope this was a bit more reserved than my older content. I'm going to try and stick with this kind of format moving forwards as well. I might even try a short at some point. I'm a bit worried about how that works though. But yeah, it's been lovely. It's nice to be back. This has been Nathan and Deer's Guide to Everything. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.